Hey guys, it's Austin with Out Jeeping, and today's how-to, I'm going to be showing you guys how to install a new radiator in your Jeep Cherokee XJ. Now, instead of a normal OEM replacement, I went out and bought a fully welded aluminum radiator off eBay. Hopefully this should eliminate the possible chance of it leaking in between the plastic and aluminum, because now it's all one material, aluminum. So hopefully it shouldn't leak on that seam. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so now looking under the hood, the first thing we need to do is remove our fans. Now we got the fan shrouding for a mechanical fan right here, along with the factory electric fan. Along with that, there's going to be electrical connection down here. So to remove this, we got 4 8mm bolts, 2 for this fan and 2 for this fan. Slide out of place, set that aside. Then you can undo the electrical connection. And then your electric fan should pop out of place. Alright, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this black piece of metal up here that's holding down the radiator. And to do that, there's going to be a bunch of 10mm bolts. There's going to be some going down here and then a couple going towards the front that are in the corners here and here. Then they got these 2 nuts up here. This is what bolts the radiator to the top mount, and those are also going to be 10mm. Now you can go ahead and remove these Torx. There's going to be about 5 bolts along here, and this size is going to be a T30. Next thing we're going to do is remove some 10mm nuts that go directly into the header panel. There's going to be 4 of them. It's kind of along this little lip underneath, and basically it bolts onto this angle iron piece, which bolts onto the black cross member right here. It's not necessarily bolted anymore since we took out the Torx, but it's going to keep it held down, so we're just going to take it out. I should be able to actually remove that out of the way. Alright, now this should be able to lift out of here. Alright, so now it's time to start disconnecting hoses that go to the radiator. So we got 2 coolant lines, one that goes to the top down here, and then there's going to be a bottom radiator hose down here. Along with that, we got our 2 transmission lines, and they're going to be on the driver's side over here. We got a quick disconnect that's going to be on the bottom, and then we got just a threaded one that's going to be on the top up here. So the first hose I'm going to disconnect is going to be the lower radiator hose. That way we can get all the coolant out of the radiator. So to remove the lower radiator hose to drain out the coolant in the system, I simply have a hose clamp down here. So you can take a flat head and loosen it up. So now we can remove the upper radiator hose. So for the upper transmission line, it's going to be a 3/4. You can just take a wrench on here and break it free. Alright, so for this lower transmission line, I got a disconnect tool on here. This is a slip kind of fitting, so you want to push the tool towards the joint, and it's going to free up all the prongs on it and disconnect the line. Alright, so some parts that we need to transfer to the new radiator would be this isolator right here on top, and to take that off we got 2 8mm bolts on either side. Along with that, since the AC condenser is bolted to the radiator as one unit, you have these L brackets that go on top here, and they're going to be bolted in on these 2 studs and then one on the AC condenser, so you have to remove that. Sometimes on new radiators they actually come with brand new L brackets like this. now we should be able to remove the radiator. Alright, so before we put the new radiator in the Jeep, now is a good time to install our new fittings. So we got two fittings here for the transmission lines. This one goes on top, and the shorter threads thread into the radiator. Down here we have this one, which is a quick disconnect, and that's simply going to thread into the bottom hole. But before we screw that in, you want to make sure you take some Teflon tape and seal up the threads. Now right here, if you have an older Jeep, it's actually going to be a temperature sensor that's going to thread in. But if you have a newer one like mine, it's simply just going to tighten up this plug and you won't have to worry about it. And don't forget to tighten up the drain plug that's on the opposite side. You want to make sure that's nice and tight. There's going to be an O-ring that goes around here. So before we go and drop in our new radiator, we want to make sure when we put it in that we line it up correctly. On the bottom of the radiator there's going to be two pins, and we want to make sure that those two pins line up with these two holes on opposite sides. We want to also make sure that the AC condenser is lined up with the holes too. Alright, so now we can start connecting lines again. Alright, now we can attach the mounting brackets to the top of the radiator. So if you have an OEM style radiator, they're basically going to come with these L brackets. And what's that going to do is it's going to bolt to the top of the radiator and to the AC condenser over here. But with this aluminum radiator, it actually already has tabs welded on. And so that lines up right there. So all I need to do is put on a nut. Then you can take your isolators and then you can fit them where the studs are. Then you can take your 8mm nut and thread them on. Now I can put the top cross member back into place. You have to line up the two studs that come out of the radiator. Alright, now we can tighten down our 10mm bolts. And then we can tighten up the two nuts that are on the radiator. So with this radiator cap, it actually sits a little bit closer to the front of the Jeep, and when you try to twist off the radiator cap, these ears on this actually contact this plate. So a way to fix that is actually notch this out about 1/4 of an inch, kind of like a semicircle, and then I just touched up with paint to prevent it from rusting. And now it seems like it clears it fine. So now we can take our angle bracket and fit it back into place. So then we got these nuts and they go right into the header panel. Now we got the T40 screws that go straight down. Alright, now we can put our fan shrouds back in. Alright, now you can hook up your electrical connections. Alright, now all we have to do is fill the radiator up with coolant. And then you want to make sure that the mixture is going to be 50-50, so 50% full strength antifreeze and then 50% distilled water. And don't forget to add some transmission fluid because you probably lost some when you're swapping in the new radiator. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Out Jeeping YouTube channel to help keep these videos coming. And comment below if you have any questions and I'll be happy to answer. So right now it's like -10 degrees, so I'm going to get inside. So without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next how-to.